video training module called the Verne Harnish Method to Positioning Your Consulting Firm. I recently read a book by Verne Harnish, and it basically is called the Mastering the Rockefeller Habits. And I've done several trainings on this book. I've included it within several of my workshops. And basically, what he says in that book, one of his tips taken from Rockefeller, was to figure out what the choke point is in your industry. If you're running a consulting firm in the project management industry, and you're trying to identify a choke point, it could be many things, but how do you narrow it down? How do you know where the bottleneck is, where if you control that part of the industry, you do very well and grow very quickly as a consultant? Well, the answer isn't simple, and it's going to be different for every consulting firm. But let me give you an example, two examples, one from a long time ago and one current day example. Rockefeller used choke points and bottlenecks in his business in the oil industry to become one of the richest people in the world. He did this by identifying that in the oil business, having an oil well was common. There's lots of oil wells. It wasn't that hard to own one at that time. On the other hand, transportation costs and getting oak barrels was very expensive, and transportation costs ate up a lot of profit margins. So what he did was he bought a oak barrel production company. He hardened the woods of the oak barrels to make the wood more lightweight. He used less gas. He could transport the oil more efficiently, and he made a lot of profits and controlled the supply of barrels. He then found within the barrel business that iron ore and the iron bands around the barrels was the bottleneck. And what he did was bought an iron ore production company. And he controlled the source of a lot of the iron ore in America. And because of that, his profit margins went down, and he controlled the resource his competitors were dying to get, so their costs probably went up. So he did it at two different stages and two different levels and became a multi-billionaire because of it. So, that sounds good for a product-based business. For a knowledge-based consulting business, how do you really apply this to what you're doing? Well, one example is if you're doing project management, maybe people are using project management software and eventually it becomes so complex they need to hire a consultant. Maybe having close relationships with some of the software providers in the project management industry will be a way to get leads. Maybe they get inquiries, maybe you could be on their website listed as an approved consultant or accredited consultant. That could be a bottleneck way of getting new clients, because only so many people are going to invest in developing those relationships, and the service providers and software providers are only going to want to invest so much time in developing those types of strategic relationships themselves. Also, another bottleneck for a project management consultant could be writing the best book or having the best blog in project management. Sure, it's not that hard to write a book or a blog, but what if you had the number one most popular? What if you had 500,000 links to your project management website? That would make it very popular. Lots of people would read it every day, and if you had great content there that you gave away consistently, you'd have a huge following, and probably a lot of people would hire you for consulting. That is a hard to replace bottleneck or choke point that could last for 5, 7, or 10 years. So I hope this gets your mind thinking around where the bottleneck is within your consulting niche. Is it an expert that you retain and put on your teams your competitors can't? Is it a software program that you develop, and that software program is so powerful it's kind of a choke point tool that you can use to gain an advantage over clients? Is it the way you charge clients, your invoicing system, and something that you've bought in that area, or domain names you own in your field? It could be many different things, or a combination of things. And in every field, I believe there's multiple choke points for consultants to move and take advantage of. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, this is trying to be practical, supplemental advice you can't typically get within a book, and hope you got a lot of value from it. It's businesstraining.com, where you can earn master's level qualifications to help you make more money.